Hello. My name is Pat, and I am here to tell you about decision-making to save your crew. A fire officer leads the crew into what was called in as a standard Roman contents fire. Upon advancing the hose line on the initial attack, the officer starts to have a very bad feeling. Suddenly, the officer orders the entire crew out of the house. A minute later, the ceiling and floor collapse into the basement. What led this officer to make a life-saving decision for the crew? The decision may not have been linked to anything that the officer specifically saw or experienced in the fire, not just the color of the smoke, the intensity of the heat, or the feel of the floor. More likely, this officer had enough experience to understand how multiple factors can come together into a recognizable pattern. Based on that feeling, that informed intuition, the decision was made. In his book Sources of Power, Gary Klein described this form of decision-making. He called it recognition primed decision-making, RPD. In recognition primed decision-making, people do use information, but it may not be consciously accessed and listed as in the classical model. Memory and intuition come into play. People who engage in RPD recognize patterns, not just individual facts. When this process works well, informed decisions can be made very quickly. There are drawbacks, of course. These go back to the limitations that define the administrative model of decision-making. People generally do not have all the information or experience they need, and they may not interpret the information they have in the most accurate way. One person's intuition may be just a bad feeling that is not specifically linked to real risks. One person can get it wrong, and either over or undercommit resources. This is where the team comes in. Good officers understand that their crews are their most essential resource in critical situations. The fire crew needs all the eyes, ears and informed intuitions of all members. This is not to say that in the middle of a fire you are going to take a vote on what to do, far from it, but it does mean that as a leader, you understand that other members of your crew might have a recognition-primed insight that you may not be having.
The best officers know that everyone benefits when they foster an environment where it is possible for any member of the crew to speak up if the person has something critical to contribute. This type of decision-making environment must be created far in advance of any emergency scene where it might be needed. It is also important that individual biases about whose input might be more valuable are set aside.
Recognition-primed decision-making, at its best, is inclusive. We never know exactly what others know or see. Sometimes the most vital insight can come from the most surprising source.